Member for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our panelists as well. It's always an opportunity for instruction and to hear sometimes competing perspectives. So, Ms. Gallagher, are you aware of the fact that in TCJA that the Republican Party borrowed $2.3 trillion for the tax cut?
Thank you for your question, Congressman Neal. I am not in tune with the extent of any numbers or statistics to that level for today's testimony. I am well aware there are plenty of trade-offs in all negotiations, in all tax policies that we encounter, and so I'm not familiar with the exact numbers. I'm sorry.
So let me follow up with that and ask the following question. Are you aware of the fact that their intention here is to ignore what is known as the baseline here? So that means they're going to ignore the $2.3 trillion that they borrowed and erase it. Now, just professionally, would you advise your client to ignore their credit card debt or their mortgage debt or their property debt and take on more debt if they couldn't sustain it and then complain about the debt they already have?
Well, again, I would say that, first of all, I'm not aware about the intention of the baseline argument for us here today. There are many factors that go into decisions when I help my clients make decisions about taking on debt. In particular with my clients, not necessarily speaking of the federal government, sometimes debt is okay and it needs to be incurred. And so I would just comment that it's not always a negative.
Yeah, fair enough. But would you tell your client to ignore the debt that they have?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Marple, appreciate your comments. They were really well done. So were you able, I hope, to have taken advantage of the child credit expansion that the pandemic relief packages offered?
Thank you, Congressman. I'm here today to talk about the current 2017 expansion, which has made a huge difference for my family since 2018 and is going to expire in December if Congress does not act. I would refer you to the tax experts on this panel who can speak to you about the other policies.
No, fair enough, but I assume that because of electronic deposit, you were able to receive the enhanced child credit during the pandemic?
I was able to receive that, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So, Ms. Silver, were you able to take advantage of any of the pandemic relief packages for investment in equipment or some new opportunities within your business? And I have a huge precision manufacturing constituency, so I hear the arguments you're making.
Yes, I was.
You were. Okay. Did that add to the national debt?
I'm sure it did.
Thank you. Mr. Duke, so the proposal here today, based on the statistical data that we've heard, is that last year, or as the proposal goes forward here, a taxpayer who made $1 million last year, they're going to receive a tax cut of $78,717. This is not according to the Democratic National Committee. This is according to the Joint Committee on Taxation, which we all have the highest regard for. So a taxpayer who made under $50,000 is going to get $273? Do you want to expand on that?
Sure. So we know that the tax package is progressive. We know that the tax cuts for high-income households are just much higher than they are for low-income households. It's true as a percentage of income, too. We know that extending them is going to increase income inequality. And I think the Treasury analysis put out last week just really throws it out there that we have a $4.2 trillion tax cut, but you can really break it into two pieces. There's a $2.4 trillion tax cut for households making over $400K, and a tax cut for low and middle income families and upper middle class families of $1.8 trillion.
Sure. So I'm delighted that you were able to take advantage of the initiatives that we put out. Very pleased. And that's why the American economy, as the economists pointed out, and the Financial Times pointed out, is the envy of the world. We rebounded so much more quickly than the rest of the world. However, it did add to the debt. We acknowledge that. The plan here today that the Republicans are talking about is to ignore what they borrowed and proceed with more borrowing and then complain about the size of the national debt. I yield back my time.